everybody, and welcome to another video. This is Crafty Rhea. Today I'm going to be recycling a couple of Christmas cards, the dog and the cat. I got the idea from one of my members in my Facebook group. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But I promised you that I would talk about a new glue. I was going to try something, and I thought if it worked out that you all would be very, very happy. As you know, I use this Art Glitter Glue, and this bottle is a 4-ounce bottle, and I paid about $9 plus shipping. I ordered it from MayMayMadeIt.com. A long time ago. I ordered a whole bunch of other stuff, so I don't remember what the shipping was. I think they charge pretty much actual shipping. So it does cost quite a bit to ship things these days anyway, but I think I paid about $9. I also paid maybe $3 or $4 for the fine metal tip that goes on here. I have seen other reviews about glues such as reptile glue, and I can't get reptile glue. It's not available for me on Amazon. But I also saw a review, and I wanted to do it myself before I brought it to you, about Elmer's Glue All. I grew up with Elmer's. My dad always used it around the house for everything, and it's a name that's been familiar to me. And it is made in the USA, and it's been around forever. So I decided that I would put Elmer's and Art Glitter Glue to the test, because this little bottle was $9. This bottle for 16 ounces was $5.32 shipped Amazon. So it's about, I don't know, 4 times cheaper. So yeah, this is awesome. Elmer's does come with this lid. As you can see, I switched it out. I have the little 2-ounce Art Glitter Glue, and I took my top. They do fit interchangeably, so I went ahead and put my top with the fine metal tip on it, because my first experiments, I should say, the Elmer's was coming out too thick, and of course then it caused the paper to buckle a little bit, just like any glue if it's too thick. Art Glitter Glue would do the same thing if you didn't use the fine metal tip. So now that I use the fine metal tip, I'll show you my comparisons. This is a piece of regular paper, like copy paper, or it's regular scrapbook paper. It's very thin paper, and I did Art Glitter Glue around the edge and through the middle. Same thing with Elmer's, and through the middle, just kind of like I always done. Nothing different than my normal routine. And as you can see with the Art Glitter Glue, there really is no buckling. Same exact thing with Elmer's, and in person I really do not see a difference at all. Usually in whatever corner I start at, there's usually a bigger glob of glue. That on both of them have about the same, you can't see it on camera, but they have about the same size of a little puffiness, for lack of a better word. It's hardly noticeable at all, and it is actually equal on both. So then I went cardstock to cardstock, and the same thing. Art Glitter Glue and Elmer's glue. There is absolutely in person no difference. I've looked at it in different lighting from different sides. I've looked at the back to see if there was any buckling. I don't see any difference. Now I'm going to pull these off to see how well they hold. As you can see, Art Glitter Glue holds well because it ruins the cardstock, and Elmer's is the same way. So they both have tremendous holding power. The person I saw do the tests, she used them for buttons and different things like that, and Elmer's worked perfectly in line with everything with that and Art Glitter Glue. but the price is just phenomenally different. I cannot believe the difference in price. So I thought what I would do is use Elmer's in my day-to-day crafting. I've only used it for these experiments. I had another little piece of paper around here where I had a line of each and I let them dry, but I can't find that right now. And they looked identical. They both dry clear, and I think Elmer's had a little tiny bit more shine to it than Art Glitter Glue, but you can hardly tell the difference. They smell the same, they feel the same, and they're about the same consistency. I don't see much of a difference in either one of them. So what I will do is, for this video, I'm going to go ahead and use this big bottle. What I'm going to do in the future is I'll empty this into here and put the cap back on here and fill this up with Elmer's, just so it's easier to hold and easier to work with. And I'll use that for a while in my crafting and just give it a good try. So if you haven't bought Art Glitter Glue yet and you're on the fence about buying a really good glue, you might want to give Elmer's a try, but you'd probably want some type of a fine metal tip. You can order special tips on Amazon separately, and special little glue bottles that have tips very inexpensively. I just happen to have this, so that's why I went with it. So let's go ahead and get started. I have these 2 cards, and in my Facebook group, our wonderful community, Create with Crafty Rhea, Lois Tilson posted a card very similar to these, probably made by the same company, that she recycled, and it was just stinking cute. And she used these cute little bows, and I have the same bows from Dollar Tree, and I thought they'd be so cute, and it would be just a super simple card, and I wanted to give a shout out to Lois. I hope you're watching. I'll post this in the group and tag you in it, Lois, because I want you to have full credit. These are the mini bows. I got these at Dollar Tree last year or the year before. I don't know if they still carry them. Obviously, probably not now, but you may have some or something similar at home to use. They do come with these little beads on them, and I measured, the bead itself is 1/8 of an inch thick in diameter, and then if you add it to the thickness of the ribbon, it's 1/4 of an inch. If you were to put this in the mail the way it is, you would have to put extra postage on it, and it could also tear your envelope. So what I did was I took them apart and I took the bead off, and then I squished it as flat as I could. So then you're looking at only maybe 1/4 of an inch, and since it's fabric, it does kind of flatten a little bit better, whereas the bead will not flatten. So if you have these at home, let me show you how to take the bead off. They're just on these twist ties, so you just untwist it. Carefully set the bow down. Take your little bead off and set it aside. You could use that for another project. And then take your bow, squish it down a little bit, put your twist tie back on it. Now, obviously, if you have something that matches the bow a little bit better than the silver, go ahead and use that. But I don't have anything handy other than this. And then just twist that back, right back on the bow, and you're good to go. You've got yourself a neat little bow. If I could show it to you on the white background, you've got yourself a great little bow that's not going to take up as much room in an envelope. If you're using these for another craft project or on cards that you're going to hand deliver, just go ahead and leave the bead on. But if you're going to put them through the mail and you don't want to pay extra postage, then take them off. I usually send over 100 Christmas cards in the mail, so I don't want to have to pay extra postage because I can't imagine how much that would cost. So there you go. I'm going to leave the little tag on the back because that's how we're going to attach them to the card, or the little twist tie. You could cut it off and you could glue them on, but I don't have the patience for that. Okay, so we'll start by just cutting these cards. I will use 2 card bases that are the standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of cardstock, folded in half and then cut in half. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these cards down. First I will just trim the front off. And I'll do it on both of them. It's going to be simple, fast and easy, super simple cards. I mostly wanted an excuse to play with the glue and to come on and do a video for you. So there we go. And of course I love cats and dogs. Our dog Jonah is a puggle, so he is part pug. And I love him. And I will cut the sentiments out. This one, the writing was really close, so I had to really skimp in there and get it cut off close. There we go. And this one is a little bit better. And if you want to save your little white pieces, they're great for stamping sentiments or matting or anything like that. Don't throw away all the little pieces of the card if you don't need to. If you have a use for them, go for it. I'm all for recycling. There you go. Okay, so these cards are too tall for this, but I do want to keep this Merry Christmas on the bottom. So what I want to do is trim it, some of that white space out of there. So I'm going to first trim it across the bottom and get that white space off. There's some dead space up above his hat. I'm going to trim that off too, and then we'll see where we're at. See if I need to do anything else. I think I could trim this off and mat it up on a foam square just to give the card a little more dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it pretty close to that Merry Christmas, and then I'm going to trim it right down to the edge of the red on the card. So I have his picture and then I have the Merry Christmas. And I think what I'll do is just put that at the bottom on some foam tape. I think that'll be very good. Same for the cat. And I will trim a little bit across the top. So I have that. Now I guess I could have done the card bases in another color like green. So these would stand out a little bit more. But I'm not going to take the time to go cut new card bases now. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it on the white. I think it's still okay. I kind of like the white border, and there's not enough room on the card to mat it on another color, so we'll just leave it with the white. So before I adhere these down, I have to decide where I want to put the bows and what bows. I think I'll do one green bow and one red bow. And I think this red bow would go cute down here, kind of like he has a collar. There's not a lot of room on the cat at the bottom, but I think it would go cute up here on his hat. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, let me see if this one's a little shorter before I cut that other one. This tail is a little bit long on this bow. It's not even, so I'm going to fold it in half like that and just trim that dovetail up a little bit higher. And that way it's not going to interfere with the words. Okay. Get my handy dandy craft knife, and what I'm going to do is decide where I want this to be, and I'm just going to make a little slit with my craft knife right under that, kind of as if I was going to put a brad. So I'm just making just a little slit, and then I'm going to take the two ends and stick it through that slit. See if I can get both ends to go in. You could use a hole punch if you wanted. There we go. And then it sits flat against the card. Take both ends and bring it down. There you go. Put it the way you want it. You could leave it like that, but I'm going to put a piece of just regular old Scotch tape on it just to hold it in place. You could leave it if you wanted the bow to wiggle, and I guess it still would wiggle. So that's okay. There you go. And then for the dog, I'm going to give him a little bit of surgery here and make a little slit right there. I thought this would be much easier than trying to get these to glue down. Less messy, and I don't have the patience to wait for glue to dry. On these, if I were going to glue them down, I would probably use Aleene's Tacky Glue, or I would use something like a Glue Dot. But I thought this was really easy. There we go. So he's got a little bow on his collar. I mean, this makes for a really simple and really easy card. So there we go. Let's go ahead and try my new Elmer's glue. And I think the idea of using the fine metal tip is that it just puts a little bit, so you're not going to have any, you know, buckling. There we go. I just want to make sure that's glued down all the way around the bow. And let's go ahead and do it on this one. I find that this big bottle is a little heavy and hard to use. I will have to definitely switch it over to the little bottle. And I'm having a hard time squeezing it out. But I think that's because I didn't really clean out my fine metal tip and I haven't used it in a long time. I think it has some dried up glue in there. I cleaned out the wet glue that was in there, but I didn't go in and clean out the dry. And of course I don't have my nice pen, and I lost my pen. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to have to find my pen. Here it is. I'm so used to my big pen, I'm going to have to switch things around here if I switch glues. There we go. So we have both of those. And then we have both of these sentiments. I'm trying to decide if I want the sentiments up. Yeah, maybe I will. I'll use this foam tape. I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise. I did clean up my scissors and de-gum them. They were a mess. I used rubbing alcohol for that. It works out really well. You probably can't find rubbing alcohol in the stores now. There we go. Yeah, I like the way that that sits up off the card a little bit. And this foam tape is 1/8 of an inch thick. Or no, it's 1/16 of an inch. It's really, really thin, which is great because it is easy for going through the mail. Now, of course, I don't remember which sentiment was on which card. I may have them backwards, but that's okay. There we go. And I loved all your comments about this, whether it was called humpers or foam tape. And I guess Bill from Mindless Crafting called it humpers because he couldn't think of what it was called. I do remember that now that I think about it. It's pretty hilarious. If you've never watched Tracy and Bill over at Mindless Crafting, go give them a visit. They're really cool. I know a lot of you are from there. And then I will mat these on some cardstock and stick them on the inside. I happen to have this green handy. I didn't think ahead and get out any red cardstock. And I'll go ahead and mat it on this other side. So far, I like the way the glue is working. I think it's very similar in feel to the art glitter glue. I could really like it a whole lot less and still end up using it because, and it did dry fast. I wanted to move this a little bit and it's already dry. So that's kind of neat. It's about the same. But for the difference in price, I could probably really like it less than the other glue and still end up using it, at least for things like recycled Christmas cards, because most people that get the Christmas cards probably just throw them away. They don't sit there and stare at the craftsmanship and, you know, that sort of thing. Not that I don't like them to look nice, but I think I've got a winner here. I'm going to have to play around with this fine metal tip, or maybe even just order some of those other little bottles from Amazon and see if they work better. All right, and then this one, and I just randomly put these in. I didn't pay attention to which one came out of where. They're both pretty generic Christmas statements, so. One mentions holidays, have a magical holiday season, and the other one says Merry Christmas. So there we go. So I will play a little more with the art glitter glue, or I mean the Elmer's Glue All, and compare it, and I'll use it in my day-to-day crafting, and we'll go from there, and we'll make a decision and see what we'll use. So there we go. There's 2 recycled Christmas cards and a review of the Elmer's glue, and as you can see, they look pretty good. I don't see any buckling. I think it did a pretty good job. I don't see that much of a difference between it and when I use art glitter glue. So, I don't know. We'll give it a try. Like I said, the best way to do it is to try it in my everyday crafting. If you use it or have used it before, let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching. Of course, I appreciate each and every one of you. If you'd love to check out my Facebook group, see what we're doing over there, that's Create with Crafty Rhea. And give Lois a shout out. She's the one who came up with a card almost exactly like this that I totally copied from her. Thanks, Lois. I hope you don't mind. I didn't really ask permission. I just kind of stole it. So I hope it's okay. I hope I didn't offend anybody. And if you like what you see, please give my video a thumbs up and click on that subscribe button. There's plenty more videos coming up, and you can see what my long-term results are of this Elmer's glue. Alrighty, everybody, you guys take care. Have a wonderful day. And until the next time, you know what to do. Go get crafting. Bye-bye.